All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Readers. What an amazing day today. All right, clearly a lot of craziness on Friday. I sincerely apologize for not making any videos. This system was doing a system update and was actually down the entire weekend, so it kind of derailed all my plans. But a crazy, what? 72 hours. I don't even know what it was, right? And the one thing I want to highlight is this post right here. All right, so I've mentioned this group a couple times. It's a really solid thing to follow. I strongly recommend you do. And I mean, if you want to just pause this real quick and read all 11, I'm not going to go through it. This is a beautiful like to do. Like keep this in your back pocket. All right, we literally ended at step 6. That is where this last post was. And then 7 and 8 truly did happen on Sunday and today's Monday Open. So very cool to have this. And really in my head, until it's the last thing I said, right? Keep this in your back pocket. This is our rule book until something ends up changing. All right, so I really like that. I'll reference that one more time. But look, at this point, it's go, right? I mean, BBAI overall 5 moving averages finally breaks that 777 that we've been talking about. That Vegas slot machine got pulled. Look at what comes out, right? At 22%. And what I love more, let me say one more time, what I love more than this 22% gain in this big nice candle are these lower indicators. Crazy healthy 70, 57, not even 70, right? 57 on the RSI. We got green over red on the MACD. It looks like it should happen tomorrow. MACD's in the positive, and big volume day. Big volume day right there. Third best candle since all the way back here in July. I mean, a lot to love down here. I do see it going up a little bit after hours. You know, I'm not here to get too excited about that, right? Soundhound was a little flatter than I wanted it to be. And I mean, look at this candle. That's a beautiful candle. And I feel like it's the greedy me kind of saying that, right? But the one thing I really saw, and you can see it on the hourly, it basically lived at 19. I thought it was going to take off after that doji right there. I actually thought it was going to take off again right there after that nice candle that was over this, that was over that. Couldn't quite do it, but hey, we still held. Really loving this daily. You know, I'll talk about that hourly again, and really kind of the same things I just said with BBAI. I like these lower indicators. Just give me a little bit more volume. Give me a little bit more volume. That's all this thing is missing. All right. Nope, not. Sometimes typos do good things. It was not right there. We're going to talk about SOFI third. And look, I think the easy thing to say is I probably expected more on SOFI. All right, I see all these other ones bringing these monster double digits. Why didn't we even at least get a better candle? This thing's just a doji, right? I think the one thing, and I'm going to kind of jump into the indices a little quicker than I expected, but this is where I have to say it. Nasdaq smashed, right? Nasdaq closes over the 20 moving average, right? When you look at the S&P 500, we actually don't do that on the S&P 500. When you look at the Dow Jones, we actually don't do that on the Dow Jones, right? SOFI, I say it on all my videos, right? SOFI is the mix between technology. They literally have the word in their name, right? And just straight up banking, right? Straight up brick and mortar. It doesn't get as Dow Jones as financial institutions. And that is what it says down here. Their sector is the Dow Jones, right? So I think to me, this candle makes sense. And what I really care about is I'm upset we didn't go up, not really worried about going below the 50, right? So, you know, I'll talk about this. I'm going to talk about both sides. This is a 50-50 doji, and I have to give it the respect that it deserves, right? But clearly from these opening thoughts, I'm thinking up, not down, and that's at least a good place to be. You know, I'm not here to brag about my lines, but that's pretty nice right there, basically landing right there, right? The last one I want to talk about is plug. And you know, I don't know if I really made a video on plug in a while, but plug is one that we talked about in the Discord a bunch. And honestly, this is one that I think I 10-1. Is that when it was? You know, I'm not here to brag about stuff. It was back here in the Septembers. Man, I should have right here. I should have done a lot better on Plug than I really did. Right at the mid-September, right when this thing was taking off, I saw it going. You know, that's the thing I love. Hopefully some other people did with that post right there, but yeah, I did not catch most of that. Nonetheless, all right, nonetheless, if you don't catch the first one, like I'm here admitting I didn't catch the first one, what you can do is catch the rebound and rerun, right? And that's basically what we're looking for on Plug right now. Look, I don't know if it's going to do another 4x, whatever that was right there, right? But that's some nice lower indicators down here. That's a nice bounce on the 20. I mean, sorry, on the 20, on the 8 moving average. We're over some important candles to the left. I mean, this is definitely well worth eyes, especially when you're talking about over 100 million, almost 200 million shares on a single day, right? So Plug can bring some volume, and so far it's been bouncing on the 8 like a champion, right? So I did talk about the indices real quick on SOFI, but let's just do it one more time, all right? In a lot of ways, this is a doji candle. This is not a good candle like those. This is not that definitive. The wicks aren't even by any means, but I'm still going to give this a little bit of a 50-50 that it does deserve, all right? What I like is this one's at least over the 8 moving, over the 20 moving average, right? I'm really happy that we're there. What I actually also like is we're basically over 50% of Friday, right? You know, I normally don't do that on a red candle, but this is an important red candle. And yeah, we got over 50% of a Friday scare. We closed over 50% for sure, and we closed over the 20. I like that. As I look in the S&P 500, not the exact same comments, right? We tested the 20. Actually, we never got over it. The high of the day was basically what, 80 cents, not a little less than a dollar, right? Because it ended at 668. That's the high of the day, the third line in the box, and then the 20 was at 669, right? So you can see a little bit of black in between there, right? But S&P 500 didn't do as well as Nasdaq, and neither did the Dow Jones. This one actually didn't even test the 20 yet, right? So what this tells me is tech is going to do better, and tech did do better, right? And really, that's what we're going to be looking for tomorrow. What I want is us to close over the 8 moving average tomorrow. Get me back overall 5. I love me a healthy 52 on a Nasdaq, right? When we look at the weekly, we talked about the weekly being really hot. All of a sudden, we kind of came back to reality with that candle, right? So in some crazy ways, it did some decent technical stuff. S&P 500, I can't necessarily be thinking get over the 8, and neither with the Dow Jones, right? But if both can go up, that obviously is something I want. And then hopefully by the end of the week, all 3 of them are going to get over together, right? But right now, NASDAQ is leading the 3, and hey, looky, we're looking very much at some tech-heavy stocks right now, right? So that should make sense, all right? So, cool. Before we do go any further, though, and I give you more of my thoughts and opinions, what are we going to do? Same thing we always do, right? We'll take a look at the daily and the weekly to see how these things are setting up short term. We have our 5 moving averages. There are horizontal support and resistance lines. There's a couple up here that we'll be talking about shortly. And then when we are done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Hey, really quickly, if you can, please subscribe to this channel. Share this video online with your friends. Comment good or bad if you disagree. Look, anything you can do helps so much with these YouTube algorithms. But for real, just being here, giving me your time, oh, I'm so grateful for it. All right, so let's get into BBAI. And really, if you've been watching the last, I mean, if you're looking at this, basically 3 weeks, easy. For sure, the last week especially. We have been hunting the break of this line. I've been using 777, $7.77, kind of the Vegas slot machine, right? 777. We finally got over that 777. And I'll tell you, I saw it really try on Friday. Let me see, BBAI. Man, Friday for sure got me. I'm not going to pretend I didn't lose any money or stuff like that. Give me a second. That's all from yesterday. Here it is. I went so heavy on BBAI on Friday morning. On Friday morning, all right, I'm going to see if I can see it on this chart. Let's go to the hourly. Okay, that 1 hour candle right there, All right. When you're looking at this 1 hour BBAI candle, our RSI was only in the 70s. The MACD was finally getting in the positives. We were starting to get some good volume. And you see it that next hour, though it's a doji, that big volume is really what I liked. That there was volume coming, there was breaking of moving averages coming. When you looked at yesterday as well, the RSI was a 51. We're still in the 50s, which makes me happy about today, right? But man, Friday, I'm telling you, I caught almost all of that because of that 777 break. All right. Oh, obviously all the tariff stuff happened. I had to get out, but I was saying it to a new friend on Twitter actually that I'm really enjoying talking to. If Monday does what Monday's supposed to do, I'm gonna go completely all in, if not more, on everything in the market. And yeah, I mean I'm back all in, right? Not 100% on this. That's not my game, right? But once we got over 777, most of this 22% was able to be gained, right? From there, we got to start thinking on these lines up, right? And the main reason I got to start thinking it is look at this channel, right? From 777 to 980, excuse me, I'm getting too excited with these numbers. Red, green, red, green, red, green, nothing, red, green, nothing. Like this is a fast up and down. And more than anything, we've got green over red and positive on the MACD. We've got can I actually click into this? Yeah, it is just under. It's zero point 0.3 under, give or take, but an extremely healthy 57 on the daily, an extremely healthy 61 on the weekly. On the weekly, we have green over red on both. This isn't real. Earnings isn't close because we just had earnings right here. 8, 9, 10, 11. All right, yeah, this could be relatively real. Earnings is about a month away, so we've got plenty of time between now and then, maybe 3 weeks, right? So hopefully we can ride the next 3 weeks to this 1145. Maybe it'll only be this 10, right? 10 is going to be a very hard IPO line, all right? And then maybe it'll be earnings that decides what happens after. But if Nasdaq wants to keep going, and again, I said it in the beginning, it looks like it does. Get me back over the 8, get me back over that candle, all-time highs. 52 RSI on the daily, 71 on the weekly. We got some time between now and 3 weeks to make some decent moves on BBAI and really look at this volume. All right, that's been a very nice growth in volume. All right, like I said, yesterday, Friday would have had really good volume. It turned into this crazy sell-off, right? But the volume was coming on Friday, like we saw, and really, we're knocking on the door of back to this volume, right? And if we can get back to this volume over that 200 and into the 300 and plus, oh man, BBAI knows what to do at this level volume, right? So, yeah, this is the tip of the iceberg between here and crazy volume king, volume queen for my ladies, right? So there is a lot to like on BBAI. Like I said, I think I kind of let me know if this is wrong. By the way, the system isn't perfect, and if earnings is on 11/4, November 4th, I'm a little disappointed because I would like more than 3 weeks between now and earnings, right? But it feels like BBAI is about to have at least a few good weeks between now and earnings, and then we'll attack accordingly. I think the easiest thing to say is, look, we are very bullish because if you see, I'm clicking at 50% candle. I just saw it in the corner, but it's basically the same place. We can go back down to 825 and actually still be extremely bullish. And really, as long as we're over 8, I'm actually very bullish. You know what I mean? Hopefully we don't, and I want to go up to that 981. But again, we're always here to talk about both sides of the coin. I can't believe it's been 14 minutes talking about this. I apologize. Let's come into SoundHound real quick. And like I said, I think it's just the greedy me. I really want things to go faster, up, but that was a very flat day, right? This is the entire trading day, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all 7 hours of today's trading. And what looked like should have been a takeoff basically stayed flat at this $19. And again, a little annoyed with that. I think the real problem was, you can kind of see it, we're still below the average volume, right? We do need a little bit more volume to come in SoundHound, but I like this candle a lot. right? We're obviously right back over all five. We don't lose this resistance, right? We don't lose the moving averages. We're actually over all the biggest candles to the left. There is no other real good candle, and we're already into that. Are we at 50? And we're already into that. Yeah, look, the next place is 1970. If this breaks 1970, excuse me, it should be a fast climb to 22 right there. That's basically what we're expecting right now. I would say it's hard to use the word extreme right now, but yeah, honestly, I am extremely bullish over 1850. I think I don't mind saying that right now. Looking at the weekly, still a very healthy 68, still riding above all the moving averages, still has green over red on the MACD, and actually has not lost green over red on the MACD this entire time, right? So, yeah, no, look, honestly, there's things to like with Soundhound. Like I said, I think I'm just a greedy little thing, right? I want 20, 30, 40%, right? But you can't get mad at a beautiful 10% double digit day right there, right? So, um and then this thing's also been having some decent contract news, if I'm not mistaken. I think we talked about it in the Discord. Give me a second. Contract. Didn't someone mention something? Yeah, right here, right on the 8th. Was there a link to the contract? No, there was no headline, but there was something on the 8th right there, right? We just clicked into that. And I know before there was another one, if not, if like, yeah, this thing is still doing some decent things right here. So, Soundhound, again, I'm just a greedy thing. I'm just kind of keeping myself in check, but there's way more to like than not like, all right? So, let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Let's come into SOFI. All right, and look, I think where I just ended on Soundhound is a perfect transition to SoFi. I'm a greedy man. All right, I want good green candles every day, every ticker for all the followers, right? Like even if I'm not in it, if you're in it, I want that one to be good green, double digit loveliness, right? So trust me, I know I'm being greedy and impatient. It's probably my biggest flaw as a trader, all right? This is a really good candle. And obviously it's a doji, and you know me, if I'm here, I'm in a respect and fear, and I give dojis the love and the that they deserve, right? There's a lot to like, and I think it makes a lot of sense. It's the same thing I said in the opening thoughts, so I'm not gonna badger it, but Nasdaq got over the 20, S&P 500 didn't, right? Dow Jones didn't even come close. And to me, that blends to this SoFi candle, right? We definitely make the recovery. All three indices made the recovery from Friday scariness. So no question that's here. All right. There were moments where it looked like it wanted to go to the 20, but it didn't, right? You can arguably say that's the same almost as the S&P 500, right? S&P 500, it obviously got a little bit closer, but you get what I'm kind of, correlating right there, right? From there, some people thought it should have dropped actually, and that's a pretty crazy drop in all honesty, right? But end of the day, we did open over the 8, we did close over the 8, and I'll take that as like the 52.48 in my 50-50 doji, right? But to me, I think there's way more good than bad on this doji. I wish we had a little more volume. But again, if you follow SoFi, we made this entire run pretty much under that line or like just on it, right? At the minimum, we made the 21 to 30 right there, right? That's a 50% gain right there, basically completely under the line, right? So SoFi does know how to do well without volume, all right? Like I don't say that for just about any other stock, but yeah, at this point, we got to get over that 2770. Get me over 2770, and I'm going to be expecting the all-time highs that I was expecting right here. I think the one thing I want to say, look at what happens with this line, and it's not perfect, but it does, in my opinion, go from resistance to basically a support. And when you can shift a line from resistance to support, that's technicals 101 right there, right? That's almost as strong as a 200 moving average bounce. When a crazy hard line becomes friendly, that's the 200. That's a crazy hard line. And then one day it'll just become friendly and bye bye, baby. We're never going to see you again, right? So hopefully you get what I'm saying. But there's a lot of good setup right here. I'm just kind of being a little greedy and impatient, but that's what we're looking for. I'm clicking at 2780 right now. 2770 is what I said moments ago. That's get me over that, and I'm gonna start thinking 30 plus again. All right, really, I am bullish at over 2617. I think this is a really good line, and anything over that is hard to be angry at. Truly, I'll go down as low as 2560 and still be bullish because we haven't used that 50 moving average yet. That's an incredibly strong line. And I mean, a wick touch means absolutely nothing in my book. You know what I mean? So I don't think we're going to come that low. Believe me when I say that. I'm basically expecting a 27, 28 break, but we're here to talk about both sides of the coin, right? Very healthy down here. I don't like this red over green. It's a big shift from what we just saw in the other ones. But again, S&P 500 and Dow Jones catch up to the NASDAQ. That'll quickly change. I'm at least focusing on the fact that it's still positive and it seems to be evening out. I don't think the green is going deeper down. It looks like it's going to start flattening and hopefully go up, which means we won't lose the positive reading, excuse me. And again, wildly healthy 41 RSI. And it wasn't that long ago we got all the way up to the 80s, right? So give me from 40 to 80, give me 30 plus, right? So, and yeah, you got to like this weekly, right? We're still holding the 8 moving average. That's beautiful. It is. I'm liking SOFI. I'm just impatient. What can I do? Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions. Excuse me, even if you disagree. Last one I want to talk about is Plug really quick, all right? And hey, Plug very often is a volume juggernaut, all right? It hasn't necessarily been the volume king or the queen for the ladies watching this, but it is, generally speaking, a top 10 volume stock almost every single trading day. So that alone, Plug is well worth our eyes, all right? One thing I do like to admit is when I was wrong, and really this when I was wrong is more, hey, I called it, but I didn't buy it. You know what I mean? So you can see around the middle of September, the 16th and 17th, I was talking about Plug. The middle of September on the 16th and 17th, Plug starts to go, and yeah, it went without me. You know what I mean? It happens. Trust me. I miss way more than I hit. Believe me, all right? But that doesn't mean you're out of it forever and ever, right? Hopefully we can catch the rebound, and that's kind of what I'm looking at right now, right? We do what's kind of textbook again in things, and even on this run, right? We go away from the 8, we come to the 8. We go away from the 8, we come to the 8. Let's watch this thing go away from the 8 one more time, right? That's basically the goal with 455 retest on mind right now, right? We have a nice green over red on the MACD, which is within the positive. The RSI went from a 92 all the way down to the 68 that we're at right now. Just take me to the 80s, let alone into the 90s. And I think that 455, that seems very realistic, right? Over the 455 is where I don't have any lines, and that's what I'm going to draw right now. We're going to delete these ones right here. Those are pretty low down there. So after here, after 455, it basically rockets up and then tanks down, right? So that's for sure the line up. I got to see. That's the next one right there. Boom. Right, I'm basically taking 50% of that. That's what I'm looking for right there. Maybe I should draw a line down here at the bottom of the gap at around 6, but I don't think I need to. The next target is 455. If we break 455, that's green, red, and mainly nothing from 2020 till today, right? A 6-year window, right? Oh, that could be a crazy fast channel. And again, this is a volume juggernaut when it's ready to be, right? So watch what happens at 455. I think at the minimum that seems like it's the next target right now. This is a little bit of a higher RSI on the weekly than the rest, but hey, again, this is still only a 75. We can go into the 80s before we really start sounding the alarm. It's been a while, but this thing has gotten into the 90s on the weekly RSI. But yeah, that's not what we're gonna assume right now, right? So excuse me. Yeah, I think that's the thoughts up. Really, there's not a lot of wiggle room in terms of going down. You can't go below 340. You lose 340 and it is going to be a little bit tough to like the stock, but really the goal is continue tomorrow, because one more time we're over the two biggest candles to the left, right? So the goal really is just head on up, and yeah, there's not too many. What's the top of this right now? 389. Oh, we're a penny over that. Hell yeah. Oh, I like that. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Cool. All right, lovely. Hey, let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Oh, I appreciate you so, so much.